you kind of need to learn how to use whatever guns you want because as your economy builds up, you're going to be at different points. Maybe you can't afford that sniper rifle. Maybe you can only afford a rifle. Maybe you can only afford a shotgun. I actually really like this one. I'm really interested in this whole idea. So we're talking about the economy system that is present in Counter Strike, Rainbow Six Siege, and kind of Overwatch, not really. And will it be present in Project A? And I think that this is an interesting discussion to look at. If you look at the trailer here, the only information that we really have for how guns are going to work in the game is the fact that characters will be able to choose their own guns, and this is proven by these clips right here. So if you look right here, we have Knife Lady, or Juno, if you will. She's using a like shotgun SMG thing right there. It's an SMG. And then in this clip, she's also using a sniper rifle. She's the same character we know because she uses her abilities and stuff. So this proves right there that this character can use different weapons. This doesn't necessarily prove that she purchases different weapons with money. So this is another screen here that's very important for this discussion. And that's seeing there is a selection screen here. We don't know if there's price tags added to any of these items. That's not something that we have confirmed nor denied at this point. But we do know that there's a screen to select weapons, and if this is related to Counter-Strike in a way, that hints at the fact that there's probably going to be an economy system present in the game, which is super interesting. And I think that this is an exciting thing to discuss, so we're going to get into that. Okay, so the economy system is really interesting because if it is present in the game, we've actually never seen this present in a game with characters who have abilities. So if you look at something like Overwatch, I kind of mentioned this before, you can't have Tracer running around with a Doomfist weapon. It's just not a thing that exists. Tracer can't be booking it around, punching people in the face. That's not something that's allowed in the game. Or a Reinhardt hammer. It's just too heavy for her. You know, that would be ridiculous. But in Rainbow Six Siege, characters are given generally 2 guns, so they get the ability to select between them. And that's a game. That's a game where characters do have abilities. However, these guns are generally fine-tuned to make sure that the character is not incredibly broken. So, for example, defensive characters oftentimes have pretty close range weapons in that game. So, a defensive character is going to be using like a shotgun or something like that. I think Pulse is a character I played a lot. He had like an SMG, and then he also had a shotgun. And although you could kill people from a long range in this game with pretty much any gun, it feels like. They are tuned specifically to make sure that this character is used in the specific way that they want them to be. Characters like Glass, for example, are offensive characters for a reason. He has a sniper rifle. It's very high powered. They don't want them using these characters as like a defensive powerhouse or anything. You can only use them as offense. And they even step it back even further with attachments. So I watched a really interesting video the other day, and it was about how Rainbow Six characters, the defensive characters, there's only a handful of them that can actually use like an ACOG scope, which I think is super interesting because they don't want just the scope itself apparently gives these characters that much of an advantage that they limit the characters who can use it and like the guns that you can use it on. Where like in a lot of other games like Call of Duty, you could throw an ACOG, you could throw a red dot, you could throw a thermal sight on like pretty much any gun, and it'll be all right. In Rainbow Six, this is not the same case, and it's because they don't want you playing these characters in those specific ways. So you have been giving these guns with restraints, keeping in mind that you will always have them, though, is an interesting thing here. Comparative to Counter-Strike, where when you purchase these guns, you're not guaranteed that you're going to have them. So although you might be now stronger that you have an op that or like over a pistol, you could lose that op. That's something that can happen in Counter-Strike. And I think that's really interesting. So the way that if you never played Counter-Strike, the way that the purchase system works is basically you gain money over the course of the game, and then you can spend that money on weapons, and your team builds up an economy, sort of. So you gain money from winning rounds, you gain money at the start of the round, you gain money from kills, depending on what gun you're using, and you gain money from planting the bomb. So each gun you kill people with gives a different reward. You can kill somebody with a shotgun, it gives around $800. If you kill somebody with an op, apparently it only gives a $100. And that's because the risk to use a shotgun is a lot higher than the risk to use an op. Ops are supposed to be strong weapons, so you probably shouldn't be getting a massive reward for them. This is kind of like a catch-up mechanic. You could buy a $1,200 shotgun and get $800 for it, or you could buy a $4,750 op and get $100 for each kill. You know, you are at the peak there. You shouldn't be getting a ton of money, and I think that this is like a really interesting mechanic. But the cool thing about this is because of this money, it provides another objective past the point of you just want to win the round. In a game like Rainbow Six Siege, your ultimate goal is just win the round at any cost. In Counter-Strike, since you need 16 rounds to actually win the game, a lot of the times if you kill a player and you steal his like his expensive weapon, so you steal like his op or something, it's almost better for you to just save the op and forfeit the round. Just walk away, take the gun. And I think that this is really interesting, where it's like you don't know exactly what your opponents are going to do. Your opponents could push the site, or they could just take that op, they could save it, and they can wait for the next round. And I think that this is really awesome. It creates more decision making past the fact of just win the round at any cost. And it adds more risk to the things that you are purchasing too. You don't want to lose that gun because you don't want to give it to the enemy. I think that's really cool. I think that this is the CS:GO system, and it's my guess is it would be likely to be present in Project A. I'm not absolutely sure. There's no way I can confirm that at this point. But from what I've seen, I think that would be really interesting if this is the way that it functioned. And like even more, we've kind of talked about this. We kind of touched on it a little bit with the way that abilities are presumably going to function. There's a bar that shows that they charge up, and over time, I think that you're going to be obtaining more access to your abilities within the game. And the way that I think that this is going to work is that I think pistol rounds, or the very first round of the game, is going to be pretty bare bones compared to Counter-Strike. So if you go into the game, you're going to have your pistol. You're not going to be able to use any abilities. But as the game progresses, I think it's going to progress into this really interesting climax where you get to the end of the game, and there's going to be 5 characters per each team. Each character is going to have 4 abilities, and you're going to have these insane fights of just 20 abilities being thrown onto one site as you're trying to overtake it. And I think that this is super interesting, and I cannot wait to see it. It also gets a little scary when I talked about it in my other video. I can link it in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. The idea that John Z is rating my freaking stream with 2 viewers. I appreciate you, man. How you doing? I hope you're having a good stream. Can I get a shout out for John Z in the chat? But like I said in the video, basically the idea is that the way that abilities will charge up, the rounds will build up, and over time there will be like a big climax at the end of the game. It's going to be nuts. I'm so hyped for it. This is the only assumption though that guns are even purchased. For all we know, characters could like choose a specific gun to start with on the very first round. Maybe Juno decides that she wants to play as a sniper and just does that. That's entirely possible. Or maybe she just wants to use a shotgun for the entire game, and that could also be a thing. Maybe Dusa decides that she just wants to use the shotgun. We don't have any confirmation that weapons will be purchased at all. All we have is that the menu is for selecting items. Oh yeah, so this is my final point. Okay. So I do kind of worry that if characters are just going to purchase the guns that they are going to use, that kind of bums me out in the sense that I don't know how much diversity is going to be present in the game. It feels like if a character is going to just use a sniper rifle, you just become like the designated opper, and like that's just it. You know, you just always use the sniper rifle. You're just always the sniper. I really like the idea in Counter-Strike. You kind of need to learn how to use whatever guns you want because as your economy builds up, you're going to be at different points. Maybe you can't afford that sniper rifle. Maybe you can only afford a rifle. Maybe you can only afford a shotgun, and you just have to like get comfortable with using those guns. I think that's very vital to a player. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Do you guys think Project A is going to have an economy system? If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave your comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys wanted to say. Other than that, be sure to like the channel or like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, thank you. Can we get a freaking awesome shout out for my boys John Z, Sandcats, Waffles, Kirby, and Goofy Goofball here? Look at that. We're going to place this in there because they have been watching the stream and supporting us, and I freaking love their faces, dude. I love them so much. We're going to zoom in here so everyone can see their names. Look at this. It's beautiful. Oh, my gosh. Oh, great. Look at that. It's perfect. Shout out the BBs. We're going to shout out Strozy, too. Actually, no, yeah, she didn't redeem it. She doesn't get one. She doesn't get one.